we are also not recording. There, started the recording. So once we are done and ready to move on, we're going to hit our player 2 character down here, and we're going to go up. You did 2 bears, I like it. We're going to go up to costumes, and with this first one selected, we're just going to flip it horizontally so that it's facing player 1. Okay. Did everybody follow that? You just hit flip horizontal right here. Sure. So it's originally like this. You're like this. So you go down, hit player 2 here, go up to costumes, and then flip horizontally. Okay. So now into the coding. Actually, let's pick a background so it's less ugly to look at. So you can pick any background really. See if there's one that kind of suits Dodgeball. They're going to be moving up and down the screen, so you don't want one like this where they'd be flying into the sky. Or I guess you could do that if you want. But I'm going to do the moon. Actually, that's kind of hard to see. Let's do just a blue sky. I like it. Okay. So once we have a background, I'll just wait a couple seconds. And if you ever need me to slow down, just hit the, if you go down to your My Status and Settings, there's a button for faster and slower. Yeah, I can go slower, definitely. So we just have 2 characters and a background. They are flying in the sky. These are magical dog and bear. Maybe I'll pick a different one. Neon tunnel. Okay. So once we have this set up here, we're going to click on our player 1, and we're going to get into the coding of player 1. So we're going to go to events. Okay, no problem. Okay. Are you okay? So we're going to keep going. So we have our player 1 selected. We're in events, and we're just dragging out when flag clicked. Can then go. Oh, awesome. We can then go to control and drag out a forever loop. As with most Scratch games, you want that forever loop underneath the flag. You're in the June Scratch. Awesome. Well, this is a new one, I think. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think we actually did. Did we do Asteroid in the June Scratch Club? I don't think so. But we do Asteroid quite a bit. Maybe we'll do it later on in the summer. So we have our when flag clicked and our forever loop. You did, yeah, that's right. Right. So you're going to drag out a if, then loop, and put it in the forever loop. Can then go to sensing and drag out when key space pressed. We are then going to change space to up arrow. So we have an if statement that says if key up arrow pressed, then we want to move our character upwards. So we're going to go change y by 10. And we can test this out by hitting the flag and then hitting the up arrow. Oh, sorry, we actually don't want the up arrow because this is a two-player game, so we want the right player to be using the keys and the left player to be using WASD. So instead of up, we're clicking W. So if key W pressed. Let's move him back down, and he moves up. So now we can actually just duplicate that by right-clicking the if block and hitting duplicate. And we can change W to S. Change 10 to -10. And now our character is moving up and down. Okay? So that's the first step. You missed part of that? Well, all of the code's on screen right now, so I'll zoom in a bit. Which part did you miss? You got it now? Awesome. Okay. So an easy way to just duplicate these controls is just drag it and put it right over player 2. And now when you go to player 2, you'll see that block of code is here also. So now when we hit the flag, they both move up and down when you use the W and the S key. We don't want the bear or player to be using WASD, so we can change W to up arrow and S to down arrow. And now what you can see is that they both have their own controls. And that's pretty much all of the movement as far as movement goes, because this is a dodgeball game. We're going to just be going up and down and trying to hit the other player with a dodgeball. So what we need to do next is go into choose a sprite and find a ball. I like the basketball because it kind of looks like a dodgeball. If we make it a little bit smaller, change it to size 40, and then if you want, you can go into costumes and then change the color of it, because dodgeballs are usually red. There. So we've got our basketball. We'll change it to dodgeball. Okay. I'll just give you guys a second to catch up. Ready to move on, just hit yes. Does anybody need me to repeat anything? We just have the two. When I switch to the bear, layer 2, it does not show the code. Layer 2. What do you mean by layer 2? Or player 2, sorry. Yeah. So when you go, so all you have to do is drag it over into player 2. Make sure when you drag it, make sure you see the little bear icon jiggle a bit. Doesn't work. Well, then you can just try reproducing this code in the player 2. Oh yeah, if you control V and control C, that works too. So all you have to do is click it so that it's all highlighted. Yeah, Awesome. So with the dodgeball, we're not going to do any code with the dodgeball just yet, because to control the dodgeball, we're going to do code in the player one. So go to player one, get a control block, get the if block, put that underneath. And we're going to go if key space pressed. We're going to change that to if key F pressed. Going to go to control, and we're going to go create clone of myself, and then we're going to change that to dodgeball. Yeah, so sure. So all we did was we grabbed an if block, and then in sensing, we grabbed a key space pressed block, changed it to F, and then we did control create clone of myself, and then we changed that to dodgeball 1. And I renamed my dodgeball to dodgeball 1 because we're going to need a dodgeball for our second player as well. Okay. Are we ready to move on? Put up a poll. And as usual, this is all posted to YouTube, so if you get a little lost, you can check out the YouTube channel. Does anybody need me to repeat how to do any of this? The dodgeball? Nothing yet. Dodgeball's empty. We're just on player 1, and we're just creating a clone of the dodgeball. Player 2, we haven't done anything yet because we're just going to focus on player 1 for now. Because with player 2, you're just copying the code. So what we can actually do is drag the, let's get another dodgeball sprite for player 2 just so we're a little bit more organized. Change it to size 40. And we can change the color to blue, so it's red versus blue. We can name it Dodgeball 2. Is everybody caught up now? So all we have for code is if key F pressed, then create clone of dodgeball. And we can actually just drag that into the bear as well and put that at the bottom of this code. Change that to dodgeball 2, and that can be space. So all I did was this code at the bottom here, I just dragged it over to player 2, and then in player 2, I changed it to if key space and dodgeball 2. Okay. And we are going to do the dodgeball code now, just because we're running a little low on time now. This is all posted to YouTube. So don't worry if you're not quite caught up. So we're going to go to Dodgeball 1, and we're actually going to click this button here. It says show. You're going to do the eyeball with the slash over it for not to show. So it's hidden now. And then in control, we're going to drag out when I start as clone. Okay. So when I start as clone, you're going to go motion, go to random position. And you're going to go to player 1. So as soon as you fire with F, the invisible ball will go directly to you. And then we're going to go looks and show. So you'll see when I click it, it appears. If I click F, oh, what happened? Not sure why it's not showing anymore, but yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. Go down to control and get a forever loop. You can then go to motion when you start as clone block. So do you have the dodgeball selected? It should be in control at the bottom when I start as clone. Do you see that? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, they're kind of confusing because they're both kind of yellow. So forever, then go to motion and then do change X by 10. And let's see what happens when we hit F. So you'll see that the ball gets launched. Kind of infinite. We actually crashed the game there. Uh-oh. There we go. So we definitely don't want that to happen. So we're going to go to control, if, and then go to sensing, touching, edge. Then we're going to go to looks, and we're going to go hide. So now if we shoot it, it disappears as soon as it hits the wall. We can actually do another if statement. If touching player 2, we will also hide. So when it hits him, it disappears. Okay, so we can actually just copy, or if you want, you can select it all, copy, and paste it in to Dodgeball 2. And we're just changing go to player 2. We're going to change X by -10. And we're going to go if touching player 1. So now the bear can also shoot balls. So I want to make this ball invisible. So when we play, now the bear can shoot balls, and so can the dog. But we're kind of shooting way too many. It's a little crazy, and it'd be pretty hard to avoid those. So what we need to do is go to variables and make a variable called cooldown. We're going to set cooldown when starts as clone to 2. So when, oh, sorry, we're actually not going to do this in the dodgeball code. We're going to do this in the player code. Yeah, I can wait a sec. So all we did was made a variable called cooldown. We haven't done anything with it yet. All I did was I made a variable in variables called cooldown. So you just go make a variable cooldown. Can you see the red ball? Sure. No hide, right here. Oh, there is no hide. It's in looks right at the bottom, right here. Do you see that? When it's not a clone? Oh. What do you mean by that? Like it's not hidden? It's not hidden. Okay, so you just hit this little this thing right here. That just shows it and hides it. Yeah, I did that a little quick. Sorry about that. You can hide both of the balls. And then if you have this code, the Dodgeball 2 code is exactly the same. So you're just copying and pasting it, but you're changing this to player 2, this to x -10, this to player 1. But other than that, it's all the same code. And I don't know if you noticed, but in player 2, we changed F to space. Player 1 doesn't shoot. Did it ever shoot, or has this been awesome, Evan? That's great. Just because we don't have that long left, I'm gonna keep going. This will be posted to YouTube. I'll try to get it out real quick for you. Ah, okay. That was the issue. Okay, awesome. So we have our cooldown variable, and we can actually we can rename it to cooldown 1 because both characters will need a cooldown. So you have cooldown 1 and cooldown 2. And we'll hide those in a sec, but it's good to see them on screen for now. And then down here where it says if key F pressed, you're going to go set cooldown right underneath create clone of dodgeball to 2. Okay. And then all we have to do is go to events, or sorry, we don't even need to make a new flag because we already have a forever loop here. So we're going to go another if statement. If operators, if, and then this first one where it's blank bigger than 50, you're going to bring that one out. And we can change 50 to 0, and we can drag out our cooldown 1. So if cooldown 1 is bigger than 0, yeah, it's the same for both dodgeballs, except this is 10 and this is negative 10. This is player 1 and this is player 2. This is player 1 and this is player 2. Okay, I'm going to go a little quicker now because we are almost out of time. So if cooldown is bigger than 0, yeah, I'm in player 1 now. So if cooldown is bigger, okay, so you'll have to watch the video when we post it. Like, or do you have it now? Yeah, player 2 is the same as player 1 without those few blocks we added. Okay, so in player 1 we have if cooldown, I'm trying, Evan. If cooldown is bigger than 0, we're going to go to variables, change cooldown 1 by negative 1. So unless cooldown is 0, we're always minusing cooldown by negative 1. So when we shoot, you see that it goes to 2, but then it immediately goes back down to 0 because it's always changing cooldown by negative 1. So we can then go and take out this key F pressed and put it aside for a sec. Go to operators and bring out this AND operator. Okay, and then we can put the F key back in. So if key F pressed and cooldown, so we're going to bring out this equal sign, 0, variables, cooldown 1 equals 0. So it'll only shoot, so you see it slows it down a little bit. It's not quite as fast anymore. Like look how the bears is like big constant, and then the dogs is a little bit less constant. So we can make this 5 so that the cooldown will take a little bit longer. Actually, we can actually go all the way to 10, I think. Yeah, that's even more. So change it to set cooldown to 20. Yeah, that's a more reasonable pace right there. You can unselect cooldown 1. Dodgeball code, sure. Okay, I'm gonna quickly do player 2 now. So it's all of this code. We can just drag it into player 2. And we can actually just get rid of this part. Yeah. Cooldown 1, instead of cooldown 1, we're doing cooldown 2. And the bear should be, oh. cooldown 2, set cooldown 2, if cooldown 2. So switch all of the cooldowns to cooldown 2, and now the bear should work just like the dog. So I'll leave that code on the screen. This is for the bear or player 2. All you have to do is switch these everywhere where it says cooldown 1, just change it to cooldown 2. Okay, so we have most of the game made now. All we need to do is add a score. Sure, I can wait. Okay, so we're going to add a score now. In variables, make a variable. Oh, it's not working. Unfortunately, we don't really have the time to diagnose that. So once we post the video, you can just like double check everything. But for now, we're make a variable score, or let's just write player 1, and that'll hold player 1's score. And to update that, we can go to Dodgeball 1, and where it says if touching player 2, we can go to variables and change player 1 by 1. So let's see what happens when we hit the bear. Yeah, so our points go up by 1. Dodge it, you don't get the point. And we can then go to dodge, or we can make another variable called player 2. Yeah, sorry about that, Owen. It should be posted by either the end of the day or tomorrow. It's tricky to get a speed where everyone can follow, and especially in a 30 to 45 minute time frame. Okay, so we got player 2 variable. We can drag that over to our bear, and same code here, just in Dodgeball 2. If touching player 1, then change player 2 by 1. So now if the bear gets a point, his score goes up. And of course, we don't want them to start with any points. So you can go to player 1 and do when flag is clicked, right underneath, put set player 1 to 0 and set player 2 to 0. So now when we click the flag, both of their scores reset. And then all that's left to do is add a little bit of a win screen. So we can go to Sprite and do paint, and we'll just type out player 1 wins. Player 1 wins. It's not very centered. There. Right in the middle of the screen. And we will hit this little eyeball here that hides it. But then we can go to event when flag clicked forever if operators, and we'll make if player 1 equals 10, looks, show, events, or sorry, not events, stop all. So if player 1 gets 10 points, we'll see here that the player 1 wins as soon as he gets 10 points, and the game stops. And we can also go to looks and get out a hide. So when we hit flag, the title card or the win screen disappears. And we'll just do that again for player 2. Sorry if we're going a little fast. We're very low on time. So player 2, put that in the middle of the screen. You can change it to red to differentiate a bit. And then the code is exactly the same as this one, so we can just drag it in, but change if player 1 to if player 2. Now if the bear wins, there. And if the dog wins, there. So that's the whole game. So we've got the dog, got the bear, got the dodgeball, we've got the blue ball, the player 1 win screen, and the player 2 win screen.